Hi there guys, I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech and this is the camera review of the Huawei Nova 3i. Now before we get started, these are the specifications of the phone. On the rear, this phone sports a dual camera setup with a 16 megapixel primary camera with f2.2 aperture and a 2 megapixel secondary camera for depth sensing. Even on the front, it is a dual camera setup with a 24 megapixel front facing camera with f2.0 aperture and a 2 megapixel secondary camera for depth sensing. So because of the additional cameras, you definitely will get better portrait shots. Now let's have a quick look at the camera interface. So guys, this is the camera interface of the Huawei Nova 3i, and before I show you any sample pictures, let me give you a quick walkthrough of the camera interface and show you the different features this phone has to offer, and then I'll show you the sample pictures. Now first we have something called scan application. Once you click that button, you get this interface and you can simply point at different objects and your phone will use Amazon Assistant, try to find that product and give you product links. As of now, it's still in beta and doesn't work really well. Now if you want to take portrait shots, you can swipe right and this is the portrait mode. And even though this mode says portrait mode, if you really want a blurred background, you need to enable this particular toggle. So if this toggle is disabled, you won't get the background blur effect. So make sure this particular toggle is enabled. And next, this portrait mode works only on humans. So if your phone is not able to recognize a face or a human subject, you won't get the background blur effect. Next, we have the aperture mode where we can take portrait shots of literally anything. If you want to take a portrait shot of a car or a bike, you use that. And the best thing about this mode is we can change the amount of background blur effect we want before taking a picture and even after taking a picture. And even after taking a picture, we can change the focus point. So that's a really cool feature. Now for this phone, there is no auto HDR. So if you want to take a HDR image, you need to go to more and then select the HDR option manually. By the way, capturing speeds in HDR mode are pretty decent. Next, we have something called AI mode. We have a toggle for that over here. Once you enable the AI mode, your phone will try to see what's in the frame and change few aspects. Let's say if there is a plant, greens will look more saturated. If there is a sky, blues will look more saturated. So that's where AI mode comes in. Next, we have something called moving picture mode. Once you enable it, just take a picture. And every time you take a picture, few seconds will be recorded as video and saved along with the picture. Now for a quick demonstration, I'm just going to move this thing. Now I'm going to take a picture. Now if you go to the gallery application, now we can see a small icon over here. That means it's a moving picture. You can click over here to start playing the video, or else long press the image to start playing the video. Now this is the interface for the front facing camera, and once again we have the AI mode. It just makes colors look popped out. Next we have something called HDR Pro mode, which takes incredible pictures. It manages high dynamic range to give you better selfies. It's really an amazing feature. Next, we have something called AR lens, and first among them is the Qmoji or Apple's version of Animoji. Now, these are all the different characters we have, and in this mode, your phone simply tries to read your face and mimics it on this character, and it works pretty well. Next, we have something called effects, where we can simply add all these different stickers to your face, and that looks pretty cool as well. Next, we have backgrounds. Now, once you select a background, obviously background of a subject changes, and you get that effect. Next, we have 3D objects. Now it's like AR lens or the lens feature from Google Pixel phones. You can put different 3D objects in the frame, take picture or a video. As you can see, there's a bird eating coconut, I guess. Next, we have a bird in a pool, and we get different kind of 3D objects like these. You get that 3D object in the picture in this way. Now this is the camera interface, and these are all the features this phone has to offer. Now let's check out the sample pictures. So guys, coming to the sample pictures, first I'll be talking about the pictures, I'll be reviewing them, and after that I'll be showing you all these pictures once again. Now with that said, these are some pictures taken in daylight and well-lit conditions. Now in this particular picture, image definitely looks a bit dull, but it has good color reproduction, colors are close to accurate colors. By the way, all these pictures were taken in auto mode without HDR. Now in this particular image, everything looks pretty colorful, dynamic range is pretty good, and once again colors are close to accurate colors. The same goes with this image as well. By the way, capturing speed and focusing speeds were pretty good. Now this particular image looks a bit overexposed, but I'd say it's pretty good. Now for this particular image, greens look super saturated. I don't know how it looks on your display, but on my display, which happens to be a regular monitor with IPS display, it looks super saturated. Now this picture is taken in normal mode. In AI mode, all these colors will pop out a lot. Now this image also looks pretty decent sharpness, I would say. Now in this particular image, you can see the blues look really good. That was really unexpected. and I was really shocked with this particular image. So I would say dynamic range is pretty good on this phone. By the way, even this picture is taken in auto mode without HDR. So it's doing a pretty decent job. Now for this particular shot, you get a nice glimpse at the sky, clouds look amazing, but all this area is losing a lot of details. Now this particular image will look better on AI mode. Now going on next, the same goes with this image. Clouds look amazing, but all this area is a bit dull and dim, doesn't give you all that appealing look. Same goes with this image as well. This image looks a bit overexposed, this looks decent, but it lacked a bit of sharpness. So guys, now I'll show the same pictures in slow motion or slowly one after another. Now I'll show you the pictures taken in AI mode. So this is it, and as you can see, colors are popping out a lot in this picture. Now once again, for even this picture, colors are popping out a lot. This picture looks pretty much the same, not a lot of change for this picture. Now for this picture, as I've told you, colors, green especially, look super saturated. The same goes with this as well. And in this particular picture, as you can see, blues look really saturated and they are popping out a lot. This is definitely more pleasing, while the regular shot was much more natural. So you get the best of both worlds in this phone. Now for this picture in AI mode, all this area is slightly lit up and it looks much more natural and more pleasing. Now the same goes with even this. Even for this frame, AI picture looks better. Now once again, even for this picture, all this area is well lit in the AI mode. So there are advantages of using the AI mode when compared to normal mode. You might get saturated colors, but sometimes like these, you get good pictures as well. Now I'll show you the regular picture followed by the AI picture so you can clearly notice the difference in color saturations. Now these are the portrait shots. Edge detection is pretty good and you also get a pretty good background blur effect. By the way, this is the actual portrait shot. So as I've said, if your phone doesn't detect a face, it will not take a portrait shot. It will take a regular shot without any background blur effect. This image looks a bit underexposed. This part is blurred, but this over here is not blurred. So the dual camera setup seems to be doing something right. Now for this particular shot, you also get nice blues in the sky and everything is well lit up. Color reproduction and skin tones also look pretty good. Now for this particular shot, for some reason phone was not able to recognize my face, so it took a normal shot. Now for this picture, once again we get a nice blur effect. Edge detection is also looking pretty good. Skin tones and exposure control is also pretty good. Even this picture looks pretty good. Now for this picture, I was facing one side and as you can see, it took a normal picture. Now in this particular case, if portrait mode doesn't work, you should use the aperture mode. Now these are all the portrait shots once again in slow motion. Now coming to low light performance, these are the sample pictures taken using the rear camera without AI mode. Now color reproduction is pretty good, I must say it's close to accurate, even the noise levels are pretty well managed. By the way, all these pictures were taken in indoor lighting conditions with things like tube lights and all. Now coming to this, I must say color reproduction is pretty good, even the sharpness looks pretty decent. Now this is Naruto, for people who all know him, hit that like button. Now this is a blue Western Digital hard disk and I must say colors look slightly faded, but it's pretty decent. I've seen worse. Now this is a smiley mug and I must say color reproduction is pretty accurate. Now finally these are the different colors and I must say once again color reproduction is pretty good. Now coming to selfies, these are regular selfies taken without AI mode and without HDR Pro mode. There are like 3 different things. You can take a normal selfie, AI selfie and HDR Pro selfie. and you can even mix and match them, which is pretty confusing. Now coming to the selfies themselves, color reproduction, especially in the background, looks pretty good, close to accurate colors. Selfies look a bit overexposed, but once again that's probably manageable. They all look pretty decent. I wish exposure control was slightly better. Now coming to the HDR Pro images, just look at the shot. Now this is a HDR Pro shot. You might not notice anything incredible going on over here, but let's see this. Now you can see the blues in the sky and it simply looks amazing. Now for this particular shot, it looks even more amazing. Most of the phones definitely can't take an image like this. In HDR Pro mode, as you can see, it lacks sharpness and you get a faded effect, but the background effect or the background lighting looks really amazing. Now these are some selfies taken with AI mode, and as you can see, greens, all the colors pop out a lot. With AI mode on, selfies definitely look more pleasing, but most of the time, images look as if they are edited, as if someone just changed the background. Anyway, that's what I think. Let me know how you feel in the description below. And once again, images are slightly overexposed. I wish exposure control was slightly better, even with AI. Now for this particular shot, as you can see, there was sun in the background and the sky is completely overexposed. It's completely white. Next, I'll show you the same picture with HDR and you will be amazed. Now this selfie is taken with AI and HDR Pro. Right out of the box, nothing seems impressive, but stay tuned. Now it looks really amazing, right? And this is probably one of my favorite shots. Selfie definitely doesn't look all that appealing, but the background looks really amazing. Now this one also looks pretty incredible with nice saturated colors. Now I'll be showing you portrait selfies without AI mode and without HDR Pro. Now this is a sample picture. Edge detection looks pretty good. Color reproduction is also pretty great. Skin tones, I must say it's pretty good. It doesn't look natural, but I'll live with it. Now for this particular image, subject definitely looks edited, like right out of the Photoshop. And once again, colors in the background look pretty good, very close to accurate colors, and everything looks appealing. Now these are some portrait selfies taken with HDR Pro on. That's why you're getting an amazing looking background. Now these are some more sample shots. In good lighting conditions, exposure control is actually pretty good, but as you have seen, for instances like this, once again my face looks a little blown out. So guys, now let me give you a quick look at some portrait selfies with AI mode, and this should look pretty amazing. And here we go. So once again, it looks exactly like the regular selfie with slightly saturated colors, and now the images definitely look more pleasing. And my face once again looks a bit overexposed. Now these are the portrait selfies with AI and with HDR Pro. Once again, incredible background with slightly saturated and more pleasing colors. This looks as if the background has some oil painting. Looks pretty amazing. So guys, these are some selfies taken in low light indoor conditions. Color reproduction, exposure control all look pretty good. In low light, it definitely takes some pretty good selfies. Now these are some selfies taken outdoor in low lighting conditions. Once again, they look pretty decent. Now coming to video recording, here's the sample footage. Now this phone can record video at a maximum of 1080p even at 60 fps, but sadly there is no electronic image stabilization. So the footage is pretty shaky. Now coming to the footage itself, sometimes footage looks overexposed, but most of the time it looks decent with good color reproduction. Focusing speeds were good and I didn't have any issues while recording video. I just wish it had electronic image stabilization. Now coming to front camera video recording, here's the sample footage. So guys, this is the sample footage recorded using the front facing camera of the Huawei Nova 3i in 1080p resolution. So check out the noise cancellation and stabilization offered by the phone, and I'll let you know how the footage is in a second. Once again, we can only record video at a maximum of 1080p. There is no electronic image stabilization, so the footage is pretty shaky. But if you have stable hands, you can pull off a stable video. Now coming to the footage itself, exposure control is pretty good. Even the color reproduction is pretty great. But sometimes footage looks a bit overexposed. So guys, to conclude, cameras on this phone are definitely pretty impressive. You get lots and lots of features, as I've shown you: AI mode, HDR Pro mode, moving picture, wide aperture mode, and many more. Now for a price of 21,000 rupees, I think it's definitely the best camera centric phone out there. Now with that said, I wish it had electronic image stabilization, and sometimes too many options can be confusing too. As you have just seen, we have the regular selfie, selfie with AI mode, selfie with HDR Pro mode, selfie with AI mode and HDR Pro mode. It's just confusing. So guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you're planning to buy this phone, use the link in the description. It really helps the channel. If you want us to make any specific video, tweet out to us with the hashtag AskGreedyTech on Twitter and we will try to make it as soon as possible. I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech signing off. Have a nice day.